Well, hello, Sheena Douglas here again with a card that you could see a lot of things about, but subtle wouldn't be one of them. But I love that. As you can see, I've gone for full colour, jewel-like. I've even got some gilding in here, and it's I think a perfect marriage between my King for a Day stamp, which is this little blokey here in the middle, all dressed up with his cape and crown, and the Daisia gorgeous decadence die. What else? And you can see, I'm hoping that the cameras are going to get the shine and a bit of glint on there. The frame actually, I have to say, looks just so much like metal in the flesh, using the Pebeo Gilding Wax, which I also got into the mix. Your colour is brought to you all courtesy of the Luminart silks as well. Not a difficult one to do, but I think it looks really impressive and fantastic for a man's card, but still attractive, gorgeous colours. So shall we get cracking? The first bit we're going to play with is the background that's going to sit behind that gorgeous die cutout, and what I've got is a piece of the Crafter's Companion craft card. It's gorgeous weight, it's perfect, it's just nice texture, consistency, it's not too compressed, it's a lovely surface, got a bit of tooth on it, and it cuts out brilliantly. And as you know, if you looked at my other videos, you'll see it's absolutely spot on for the faux leather technique. Right, but we've got a square piece of card here, cut a little bit larger than the Daisia square frame's going to be. As you know what I'm like with measuring. I'll tell you, I'll see if I can work it out later, but basically just look at it as a I would say, I'm going to guess here, you could do something like a 7x7 piece of square card and you'll be fine. I always like to start off larger than smaller, because then you can trim in. And what we're going to do is we're going to colour it with the amazing silks from Luminart, and these are jars of acrylic based bling-tastic, amazingly gorgeous, bright, vibrant colours, as you can see in the lids here. Just the lids, you've got the colours there. Hopefully the camera's showing them there in the light. They're packed with the finest quality pigment, with no white in there that would dull it down and make it more opaque and dull the mica that's in there. So everything in these jars is put in there for bling and vibrancy and clean, bright, gorgeous colours. And the thing is as well, they go a long way, and because they're in an acrylic base, they're not just for painting on cards like you're going to see me do now. They're for painting onto metal, onto acetate, onto canvas, any surface that is traditionally tricky to paint on, and paints that in normal gum arabic, like a watercolour based paint, like H2Os, wouldn't want to sit on there because it'll resist. So more durable. The other great thing about them is that they're not a thick, opaque, heavy coverage, so they're really nice for beginners. I'm using the craft card because it's going to give a different look than a piece of white card would do. It gives it a warmer undertone. I think it just works. It looks really nice, and the paints sit nicely on top of it. So what I'm then tempting here is I'm going to tempt it for a lighter centre and darker around the outside. So as usual, I would say always start with your lighter colour. So get a large brush. This is from the Paint Fusion brush set, and it's the largest one in there. Now, again, that's a set I put together by Royal & Langnickel. It's not a set that they sell. It's not one they had put together. It's the one I picked out of hundreds and hundreds of brushes in the range to put together a set that I thought would work perfectly for me in just about every instance that I want to use brushes for. And so if you're looking for a put together set, you probably won't. Best place to go is probably Crafter's Companion to get that as well. So there, can you see how I've put the lighter colour on, then I've put some of that other, the orangey colour around the outside. I might extend that orangey a little bit further out. See how you can layer them, they just sit on top of each of them. Because they're more like a glaze, it doesn't dull and become muddy, and they're just really lovely to use. And of course, if you use the right size brush, it makes your life a lot easier. So by using that larger brush, I'm be able to blend everything in really nicely. What I will say is I have lights on here, really big, strong lights that are drying this more quickly than normally. In fact, one of them's just pinged there. If it goes dark, you know what's happened. It's given up the ghost. It's hanging on still though, so all's good. make no sudden moves. Now can you see how now we've got we're getting a bit more drama going on. I'm just going to take some of the paint off there and just while it's still wet, blend over that join, and if I need, add a little bit more of the red colour on there just to blend it in a bit more. What I would say is, you know, I was asked recently what other days when I don't feel very crafty and I don't really, you know, things don't seem to be working that well. And of course, absolutely, there's days when you're just not in the mood. None of the cards you're putting together are working brilliantly. But on those kind of days, what I would do is do something like this. Have some gorgeous backgrounds prepared so that when I feel like I want to start composing a card with the focal point and accessories and matting and layering, I've got something already done that is probably going to be the inspiration and the starting point for the colour scheme as well I'm going to use. And that's actually what happened with this. This was this card came about because of a background I had prepared earlier, and I thought, and that was my starter for 10. I thought, right, that's going to work perfectly. It looks opulent, it looks rich and very regal, and it'll be perfect for my little Kingfisher King for a Day with his cape. Now that's still a little bit wet, but you'll be able to see the bling on it, which is pretty impressive for dull, boring, matte craft card. Now, and hopefully you're getting the shine on there. So we're going to pop that to dry, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the frame. Right, so this is the black card from Crafter's Companion that I have cut and embossed using this set here, this Decadence die, which is fantastic. It's that big, it's huge, and it's basically going to create the full front focus of your card. Love it. Really, really gorgeous and incredible when you see it teamed up with the gilding wax. I just want to mention that also it's difficult when you're buying black card from either TV or online, because if you're like me and you want to do stuff to it, like apply gilding wax and things, if it's got a coating, the wax won't cling to it as easily and the paint won't stick to it, and it might separate if it's got a different colour core. But this card is black right through and it's not coated at all. So if you take a little bit of gilding wax like I've done, splodge it on the flat of your finger, and then very lightly just start to brush over, very, very lightly. You can always build up. That's the best way to apply the gilding wax, is as a really light application, and go over the whole thing like this, because you might like it with hardly any on. You don't want it all maybe completely opaque gold, just a glimmer. And also it's gonna, you know, make it go further. So this is the Pebeo, and it comes in a jar like this, big huge jar, and it is the Empire Gold. Lovely, lovely. This jar I've used, this is the first jar I've used. You see how much is still in there. It just goes on for ages and ages and ages. And it's not a wax, so you don't have to rub and rub and rub. It doesn't go hard. And also it's not just for cards, it's for home decor. I've transformed old like ornaments even, you know, like bisque covered ornaments that were a little bit like pastel coloured and things, that I thought the shape was good but I wanted them a bit more funky, so I coloured them with black gesso, also the Pebeo black gesso, and then I went over with the gilding wax. It looked fantastic. So can you see how that's building up? So what you would do is just continue if you want it stronger, if you want it heavier, but don't try and clump it all together in one fell swoop as a heavy application. Just go over and over the same area, 2 or 3, 4 layers, and you'll get a much more even application of the product, and it'll look a lot better than just trying to look a bit splodgy if you try and put it on too thick. And then it's only going to take a matter of a few seconds really to start to dry, and then you'll find you polish it, and you'll find as you're polishing it the paper slides over easier after the first 2 or 3 passes, because you're actually polishing the surface. You're bonding that metal to the card. Whoops, try and keep it flat, don't do what I just did there. Hopefully I'll show you that corner and you'll see how it literally looks like metal. It looks like a foil. So I've continued all the way around there. Now that's when it's ready, it's going to go onto that background. Oh, it's so pretty. Now if your card's a little bit bigger, you might want to leave a larger channel around the outside than I did. Why not? That's looking good. I'm getting a nod from the cameraman, so that looks quite good. And now, quickly, I want to show you, a lot of people think, they'll use the wax, how do I get it twinkling on my finger? And how do I get it off my mat? Because water doesn't do it. Rubbing it doesn't do it. What you want is Stick Away Crafter's Companion. You know what? It was there for years before I even paid it any attention, and it's one of my absolute like core products now. Because for one thing, tiny little spray, and while you're there, just rub it on your finger. See how quickly it releases that wax. Just lifts it, even if it's been on there for a month or so. If you pop that on your mat, it'll just lift it off, and it also just wipes it off your finger. Then you can just go and wash your hands with soap and water, and it's gone. It'll clean your stamps. So if I use it now for if I've used stays on my rubber stamps, obviously for cleaning your rocker blocks, anything like that. Right, okay, gonna get to the next bit. See you in a second. So here we are, ready, prepared to stamp the Kingfisher. Before I go ahead and do that, I'll just tell you big up and see how excited I am at this card you're looking at here. This is the Sheena branded, about time, stamping card. I tell you what, all the years I've been stamping professionally and crafting professionally, I have been looking for something such as this, and eventually it has come. It is here, behold, before my very eyes. It's perfect stamping card. It's actually, I was using before this the reverse side of Centura Pearl. This is Centura Pearl but without the pearl. It's both sides exactly the same, smooth surface, heavy weight, and ideal for using with your distress inks. You can move your ink over the surface. It doesn't have chalk in that grabs it and sets it. You can blend with it. It's fantastic. But for today, I'm just going to stamp my Kingfisher and emboss on it and then colour on it. So I've got the Kingfisher cut out, and I've got it mounted on one of my clear rocker blocks here. And if you're wondering what to use to mount that onto there, you need Stick and Spray, which is another spray product from Crafter's Companion, and it's a repositionable sticky glue. So we shall take some Versamark. Never, if you're a newbie, take your pad like that and try and ink like this. You don't have as much control, and you can't really tell where you've inked as well as others, as in if you do it like this. So hold the pad in your hand and then go over and make sure that you've got every part of that bird inked up. Versamark is a thick, gloopy, tacky glue which is really slow drying, which is going to hold grains of embossing powder long enough for you then to heat it. But before you put the embossing powder on the card, use an anti-static bag. Just get into the habit of doing this. It's especially because I'm using black now, and black will just cling to the background if I don't use that. So right now, your rocker blocks, position it. If you're using the extra large rocker blocks, take your hand to the centre and then just press and rock forward, because what will happen is with the larger stamps, if you just hold it at the sides, you might not get the pressure in the middle. Next thing, I'm going to take some black embossing powder here and pop that on my image. Now, when you pop your embossing powder on, don't flick, 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 just give it a gentle tap and it'll just cling to where it's supposed to, as you can see here, on the line. And now I'm going to emboss it. And when you emboss it, make sure that I'm talking because I can't find my heat gun. I just plugged it in. Seriously? It's under the table. Smooth, wasn't it, until then? Okay, got it. Right, when you emboss, don't do this random factor, because you can't see where's embossed and you might overheat parts and miss others. Start in one area and continue until you've melted all the lines. Look across it so you can see it go shiny and all merge together, all those little grains, and then move on. The longer you heat it, it doesn't get any better, it gets worse. It'll overheat, melt into the card and be dull, and it won't have any raised properties to it. Right, now when it's done, you should be able to look across and see that everywhere is gorgeous and shiny, and then within a minute or so, make sure it's dry before you do this, you should be able to run your fingers over it and nothing moves, everything's there, you've caught it all. That's fantastic. And now we're going to paint. So what I've got is a collection of I'm going to paint the orangey bits on the Kingfisher first, and I want to create some depth but still keep it bright. So I'm using 3 colours. I'm using yellow rose, I'm using ginger peach, and I'm using spicy tomato. Now 2 of them are from set 4 and the other one's from set 8, and I apologise I'm jumping around sets, but if you start collecting the silks, you're going to want them all, I'll be honest, once you get one set, and then you've got the full picture. So as usual, I'm going to start with a lighter colour, and I'm just going to paint over the whole of his little breast area here with this yellow, the palest yellow colour. And you'll see it's not watery, it doesn't run away from you, so if you're a beginner, it's not difficult to control. And you can see how it's still kind of translucent. You can see through part of the image there as I'm painting. So that's the lightest colour. Then I'm going to go with a little bit of the orangey colour, and I'm going to start to add a little bit of shade to it. Maybe make the orange at the bottom a little bit more dense there. And then finally a little bit of the red to give it even more drama. Right, so that's good, I'm happy with that. So that's the orangey yellowy bits done. Oh, I've forgot this little bit here, sorry, I'm forgetting this little bit at the side of his face. That bit there. Okay, so that's that bit done. So next we'll use the bluey colours, and I really like this this raspberry wine from set 5, definitely Bolivian blue, which is the darker shade, and some celadon. So I'm going to start with the I'll start with the dark colour this time, and I just want to pop that at the base where I want it a little bit stronger to give it a bit of shading, and underneath where the feathers are. So everybody who has an iPhone now isn't, you know, getting up and running and checking your phone to see if that was for you, but it wasn't, it was mine in the background. If I like, my phone could be sitting in front of me, if somebody else's makes that noise, I still have to look, even though I can see it isn't clearly for me. It's habit. Right, so the next bit I'm going to use this lighter blue to just blend into it. A bit on those wings. And then I'm going to use some of this celadon green. And what you'll find is if you get the light over this later, oh, it looks amazing, because it's got like an interference mica in it, that just, you get the flashes of the most intense, gorgeous colours. Kind of like oil on water as well, just where it catches. Now, one last thing to do, I'm going to paint his little feet. And rather than get a brown out, it's easier just to take a green. So let's take a little bit of that celadon and a little bit of this red here and mix it together. Oh, the red's stronger than the green, so a little bit more of the green. See how it's turning browny? And there it is again. And then you get a nice little kind of a bit more red. brownie tone just to paint his little feet in. Right, now this little bit here is a lighter tone, so I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow that we just used, but I'm going to pop a little bit of the ice in there. So when we first brought the silks, or show you the silks, the ice sells out so quickly because I think it's the first one people want to just dip that tone to the water with, because if you paint ice on top of any kind of product, it'll make it blingy. But it's also a great one for if you want to make your colours more pastel. So if I pick that up, and then you get the light shining across it. See that? Yeah? Good. And now we'll quickly show you how to paint the crown and the cape. Right, so to keep within the sets we've got open here, we'll use set 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some highlights on the cape first of all with this orangey colour just at the top there and there. So that we'll say is going to be the lightest area. Then I'm going to use the red as the main body of the colour, and I'm going to go right down to these little V's here. By the way, I've stamped and embossed this just the way you saw me do the kingfisher, using the black embossing powder and the Versamark on the Sheena stamping card. So I'm going to go up to that yellow, and then to blend it in, I'm just going to use a little bit more of the yellow again. So you see how nicely that's blended there. But then we want a bit of shade in it, so I'm going to use the dark that's in this set. And pop that at the bottom. Now this could be any 3 colours, if you look at any, 3 shades of red, 3 shades of purple, blue, anything you want, but I thought I'd use a different colour to the ones I used on the finished card, which I'll show you in a second. And then you can paint any colour there on that bottom part. Let's do it this blue, let's do it this dark blue. And for the cord, there's a colour, a gold colour, it's really pretty, Emperor's Gold, and it's really just like a gold mica in the lovely silk suspension. So if you want to just add bling for the cord and the crown, it's a perfect one. So then I would just cut that out, as you can see, but before that, this is the one I was talking about, Emperor's Gold. We can just paint that cord, just go straight over it, and if you're cutting it out, that'll work. Took me ages to work out I could do that. I used to still have to, like a kid, paint within the lines. Then I thought, you know what, I'm cutting it out. Hello. And the same for the crown here, but I'll show you how to just give it a little bit of shading. So just go straight over with your gold. And you'll see it'll actually, because the silks will sit on any surface, including any plastic, you'll find it will sit on your embossed line, not like H2Os. But that's okay, it just gives it a bit more bling. But what I'm going to do there is just use a little bit of this burgundy colour, and we can just shade it a little bit. Or if you've got a brown out, anything like that, just a little bit of a contrast in colour. And then that'll get cut out, this will get cut out, and then we're going to stick it on the bird. So I'm going to bring you back to the finished card now just to explain what we've done. Oh, one little thing, when you've cut them out, use a pen like a Spectrum Noir to just mark around the sides, because you don't want to see white card. So I use a chisel tip of a dark grey, not black, because black's sometimes too strong, it shows up too much, so a dark grey just to edge the sides of the cut out card. And then, so you can see I've just stuck it all together. I've used tacky glue to stick the kingfisher down and stick the cape and the crown on. But what I used to stick this onto the background was Stick and Stay, because it's so fancy. That's another spray paint from Crafter's Companion, that it's much easier than trying to put a wet glue on there. And there you have it. King for a day.